Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the YANYIN Canon. Um, this has been with me already for a couple of weeks, but as is sometimes the case with certain IEMs that I receive, I was so surprised. Let's put it that way, by how good this IEM is that I just had to listen to it carefully and compare it extensively before I actually came out with a review. Anyway, this is the box it comes in, kind of a half sleeve, opens up into a coffin style. Okay, over there brings that case, brings these tips over here, some paperwork. Oops, some paperwork. Some more tips, which were actually the ones, the stock ones. Inside there brings also the tool to adjust these switches. But anyway, it's a simple enough package. We're talking about an IEM which costs around $360. I got this one from Linsol, um, but Hi-Fi Go also carries them, I believe, and a few other places also. Pennon also carries them. Anyway, that's what it is. Okay, I got my one in the 4.4 termination. Okay, and as I was saying, here's the case. Nice kind of fake leather case, very similar to what you see in, for example, the Manga T2, and what you see as well in the 10 Hi-Fi cases. As for the IEM itself, well, it's what is expected at this price. We want decent cable, which is the case, and we want an IEM which has flawless construction, which is the case. The color is a kind of a mix of I don't really know. I don't know if this is like a dark purple, violet, burgundy kind of, I don't know, color, but anyway, it's a very nice shell. It has very much a kind of a CIM feel to it. Fits flawlessly within my ears. I have absolutely nothing to say about that. And because it's got like a nice nozzle length, I'm actually using the KB Aero 7 tips, the medium-sized ones. Anyway, that's the IEMs. They bring, as I said, decent enough accessories. They fit decently. Noise isolation in my case is nothing that I can complain about. Very comfortable, light, and in case those of you that are listening to this might not know, it's a 1+4 hybrid, and it's got tuning switches. Actually, I forgot to show you the tuning switches. It's got, there we go, three tuning switches for different settings. Later on in this video, I'll actually show you the graphs, and that will enable maybe to explain a little bit further how versatile. I mean, actually, I think that the ideal name for this IEM is Chameleon. And why? Because yes, tuning switches have been something which has been used already by several manufacturers, but unfortunately, not all the time they are actually efficient or effective or made out to be what they are told to be. And in this case, no. In this case, the switches, they work. They change the overall graph in a significant manner, and by that, obviously, then the sound also changes. And the reality is that the Canon is not wanting to sound like I'm shilling, as people say, overhyping. But under $500, it is unquestionably the best hybrid you can get. That's my very honest and sincere opinion. And I'm saying this with a good amount of comparisons made with it. I mean, I've got Moondrop Blessing 2. People know what it's about. So I've got Manga T2. Again, people know what it's about. So, you don't really have to. And then we got two newer players. One on this side here, which is the High Senior, the Mega 5P. Without a shadow of a doubt. No, I mean, again, there's no question about it. For $200 that this thing costs, the best hybrid you can get, period. It is unbelievably good. That's it. And then the Seacreal Fusion, the brother to the Seacreal Airship. Brother in the sense that it's from the same company, but it's also a hybrid. Anyway, actually all of them are hybrids over here. All of them are 1+4 except for the Manga T2, which is a 1+6. What can I say about this sound? Well, it comes with the settings. The stock setting is 000, and after extensive listening and trying the various configurations possible, the two settings which I think are the ones that make the most sense and that really bring out what the Canon can offer are 010 and 011. Why those settings? Well, in the stock setting that it comes 000, it's an absolute bass monster. Got nothing against bass, mind you, nothing against bass, love it. But if it was that the only tuning that it would have, then there are other IEMs which have actually got equal amounts of bass that would satisfy, and with that amount of bass that it has, it actually doesn't let the IEM shine in the mids and in the highs where it's been done flawlessly. I mean, T2 is a perfect example of that. The Blessing 2 is another example of perfectly done mids and highs. More so in the T2 where the highs are really something else. They are definitely on another level with regards to how clean, how detailed, how uncluttered they are. They are good to the point that when you actually compare it with some ESTs, IEMs with ESTs, and I'm talking about EJ07M, I'm talking about the Mega 5 EST, I'm talking about the YANYIN Moonlight, you can see that there are occasions where, okay, this is really good because it's on that kind of a level, at least first impression. Once you get more into it in more detail, then yes, you do notice that it's not got that ultimate, let's say, class of an EST, but you really have to be looking for certain things and be very, very, under very ideal conditions, under normal listening, in a normal listening scenario, that treble there is on a different level, really. The same thing goes for the Blessing 2. I mean, in terms of resolution, detailed retrieval, this thing is surreal. The Mega 5P, when I reviewed it now recently, the thing that really blew me away was, first of all, when I actually graphed it, it came out with a graph which was very similar to the graph of the Mega T2. Obviously, that means nothing. I mean, we have seen plenty of times that IEMs can graph very similarly and they sound absolutely different. And there's one here, for example, that is a perfect example of that. So graphs are what they are. They are an indicator, but not the be-all, end-all. And the Mega 5P, when I graphed it and I saw that it graphed very similar to the T2, I was, wow, this thing's got to play well. And in fact, it does play well. Yes, it does play very, very well. the bass is clean, it's textured, it's detailed, no bleed into the mids of the area where it kind of is more laid back and maybe obviously well, it's not that it's inferior, but it's just more laid back, is in the highs, where when you compare the two and they graph very similarly, like I say, you do see that there's more high frequency information in the Manga T2 as compared to the high senior. But the reality is this: the high senior, for its initial price of $189, and even now with the discount codes for the $200 that it costs, it is a no-brainer. It's you want a really good hybrid, and you don't have the money to go for a Canon, you don't have the money to go for a T2, you got your answer there: Mega 5P, period. The Fusion is the one that perhaps in this context here is the one that doesn't shine as much. Why? Well, when you graph it, it shows a lot more sub-bass focus than the majority of them over here. But that sub-bass focus doesn't really then translate into what it is able to reproduce when you're listening to it. It then also has a certain amount and I'm not going to say it's excessive, but it's got a certain amount of extra energy in the upper 5K, 6, 7, 8K area, which, depending on what you're listening to, it can be a little bit, not going to say harsh or aggressive, but it can be just a little bit too energetic, and that excess can lead to a possible fatigue in listening. It doesn't mean in any way that it's a bad IEM. No, it's not a bad IEM. It's good, but when you take into consideration that it costs the same thing as the Canon, it immediately becomes a secondary choice, at least for me, because it does nothing that the Canon can do substantially better. I'm sorry to say that in such a blunt manner, but that's the truth. So yes, it's a good IEM. Yes, it's a valid attempt from Sick Real, but not up to the standards of what is over here. I would even go as far as to say that even compared with the Mega 5P, the Mega 5P is a superior IEM. All of this kind of intro, okay, to finally talk about the Canon. And like I said, the Canon, the standard settings, the 000, is it's not a standout IEM. You listen to it and you say, okay, fine, loads of bass, loads of impact, fine, but there's nothing that really kind of let's make it shine. And then you flick the switches. Well, you flick just one switch, which is the center switch. You put it into one, and effectively what that does, it lowers the whole bass level by a good 5 dBs, while maintaining the rest of the information past 1K more or less on the same level of energy. And you have to sit down. You really have to sit down and say to myself, is this the same IEM? It cannot be. It's impossible. That's how big the transformation is. The Canon in the 010 setting, for me, with my music genres that I like listening to, Frank McComb, I mean, it's just unbelievable how good it sounds. It's just really, really, really unbelievable, and that's just one example of music, which honestly I'm kind of lost for words, and I apologize, but the reality is that I just wasn't expecting it. Brian Simpson, Twilight, for example, it just has this ability to create this atmosphere, which is flawless. It cannot be faulted, Elephant from Carol Lubbock, again, it is flawlessly reproduced. Swept Away from Carol Lubbock, again, flawlessly reproduced. And I can go on and on. let me see, What I Do from Crayon, perfectly. Pretty Baby from Jeff Bradshaw, perfect. There's song after song after song that I listened to, and I was just absolutely overwhelmed. I just couldn't believe at how good it was. It was good on the level of its brother, the Moonlight. It was good on that level. It was good on the level of a EJ07M. It was good on that kind of you know let's say plateau of IEMs. And I know you guys might be thinking, oh, okay, he's exaggerating, he's talking so well about it and this and that, but it is what it is. It's as simple as that. It is a very well tuned IEM. In that setting, for example, it does everything that, for example, the Mango Tea does, but it's just got that extra little bit of authority in the bass. It's just got that little extra bit of authority and presence and air in the mids and in the treble, which for some people it maybe thought that the T2 was a little bit laid back. This does it perfectly. If I again readjust the tuning to it, if I put, for example, the 110 tuning, it maintains the mids and the highs basically as they are in the 010 tuning, but it just boosts up the bass slightly, not to the level of the 000, but just boosts the level up just a little bit, and it then gives, for example, EDM. If I want to listen to some EDM, it just gives it that extra little bit of amount of impact. Not that the 010 wouldn't be suffice. It is, but it just gives it that little bit extra, impact. And it's this ability, or not this ability, but it's this feature that the switches actually do something, which make it, in my opinion, make me want to call it the chameleon, because I can very much, adjust it and make it sound more similar to this or that IEM. For example, the Fusion, as I mentioned, has got that extra energy there at the 5, 6, 7, 8K. And if that is your thing, if you like those, those vocals to be forward and everything, all you have to do is use the 011 setting, for example, on the Canon, and you've straight away got that. You've straight away got that extra forwardness in the vocals, so it will suit. I think with a little bit of playing around, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, you have to play around. You have to see what actually you like, you prefer, but it will suit, I think, 95% of people out there. As long as they are willing to play around with the settings and adjust it and so on and so forth, play around with some tips, you will definitely find the setting that will satisfy you. That's the truth. Look, again, I'm going to repeat myself, but that's the reality. In terms of its technicalities, what is it like? What's the soundstage like? Imaging, detailed retrieval, tonality. What are all of those parameters like? Well, depending on the setting, obviously you will improve some and bring back others. But in the 010 setting, which is basically the setting that I've left it on because it's what suits me the best, soundstage is plenty wide. You got a excellent sense of space and positioning. There's no real boundaries, in my opinion. Imaging, spot on. Spot on. I can do, instruments. I can differentiate everything. Guitars, drums. Nothing gets cluttered. Nothing gets. It's really, really very good. Detailed retrieval, micro and macro details, spot on. Nothing to be said. Tonality, once again, and again I want to repeat, this is in the 010 setting, and for me personally, okay, tonality, spot on, perfect. Yes, the 000 setting, I don't find the tonality to be correct because it becomes overbearing in bass, and it just doesn't sound right. So depending on what setting you select, you will improve or not some of these technical capacities of the Canon. But in the 010 setting, for me at least, it's spot on. It's perfect. I've got absolutely nothing to say about it. It is without a doubt for me, and I repeat what I said in the beginning of this review. It is the best hybrid you can buy under $500. I'm not detracting anything from any of the other IEMs right here. They all have their place. They all have their merits. The blessing to, it is what it is. It's got a market of its own. The T2, the same thing. The Mega 5P will, in my opinion, also create a following because it is really, really good. Actually, if I have to give positionings or give absolute, kind of prizes, or I don't know how am I going to call this, but the best IEM out of this one here, if price is a concern, is the Mega 5P. If price is not an issue, the Canon is the best IEM. That's it. It's as simple as that. The T2 is good, but at the price that it is, which is $350, $360, which is the same as the Canon. Personally, if I had to choose between the two, and I like the T2, mind you, I do like the T2, the Canon would be my choice. And yeah, guys, that's basically it. I'm gonna be showing you the graphs now, and then wrap this up. Okay. Hi guys, and as I promised, this is the section where I show you the graphs of the Canon compared to also the other stuff that I reviewed it, or I compared it to. Anyway, this is the base graph of the Canon with the 000 setting, and as you can see, everything fits within more or less more or less a 10 dB window. Okay, this is there's a big emphasis here on the bass, while the rest of the frequency above 1K actually is not bad. It's actually pretty nice. You don't really feel this peak here at 4.5. You don't really find it becoming noticeable in terms of excess sibilance or anything of the sort. And this is actually not a bad sounding setting. Like I said earlier, it's just that it's perhaps the more colored one. Then we have this setting, which is the 001, which is basically the same bass curve. You just got an emphasis there on the 6, 7K, 8 area, so a little bit more of treble presence. It's more V-shaped, let's put it that way. So again, in my opinion, a little bit more colored. Let's take this one out. Then we got this one here. Actually, let me just change the color. There we go. Okay, this is the 010 setting, which is the one that I prefer myself. There's a slight drop in terms of energy up top here, but the bass is what comes down a significant amount, and it just makes everything sound way more correct. There's not so much the sensation of being overemphasized in a specific part of the spectrum or anything. This is the setting that I personally prefer. This setting, the 011, which I'm showing you now, is also another setting which is pretty nice because it maintains the same basic bass curve, and it boosts again the higher frequencies. I guess this would be a nice setting for those that like more more air, more up top. This would probably be the setting, and it's actually curious because if you notice it, from the base setting of the 000, which is this one, you first then have a decrease in energy in bass, but you maintain more or less the same thing up top, and then you maintain the bass and you increase everything up top. So it's a these two settings are the settings I personally feel are the most make sense ones, let's put it that way. The 101 is again a setting which boosts the bass. I'm just going to remove some of these other ones, yeah, so you can see compared to the bass 000 setting, it boosts the bass quite a bit. Let me just line it there. It boosts the bass a little bit more, again lots of energy, not exactly my preferred one. Number 17 is actually a nice setting as well, which is the setting of the 110, which over the my preferred one, let me just put it here quickly, which is number 14, which is the 010. As you can see, the 17 just gives a little bit of a boost bass there, just a little bit, and maintains up top the same thing. And so these two are actually the ones I usually go to, the 010 setting, the red line, and then the 110 setting, which is the purple line. Anyway, that's the settings of the Yanyin, or the various settings of the Yanyin. Now let me just show it to you as compared. Let me put here again. Okay, that's the bass setting. 010 and 110. Okay, this is the set. This is the fusion, the Sequential fusion, and as you can see up top here, it's actually quite similar to the bass setting of the Canon. Actually, you know what? I'm actually going to put the setting that I use, which is the 010. There we go. That I think makes more sense. So the blue line is my setting of the Canon, and the purplish line is the setting of the Sequential fusion. And this is one of those cases that I was saying earlier, that you look at the graph and you think, oh, this is going to have a little bit more sub-bass focus as compared to the Canon, and no, you don't notice it that way. No way. Not even in terms of mid-bass impact, the Canon still has more. We do see that the Fusion has got a little bit more. Is that extra top over there, which if you want that kind of sound, then it's as easy as going for the 110 setting, which is this one here. No, sorry. No, where is it? No, 110. No, it's the 011 setting actually, sorry. But anyway, but there's a setting on the Canon which you can actually just boost this up again a little bit, so it's fine. Let me see, that's the Seek. There we go, I knew I had it. So that's the setting of the Canon with the higher frequencies boosted up a little bit, and you can see it's almost identical to the Fusion, but when you listen to them, actually it sounds very, very different. Anyway, out with that, out with the Fusion, in with the setting of the Canon that I like. Here is the Manga T. There we go. And as you can see, I think this kind of explains well what I was saying earlier, that Manga T, T2 actually, sorry, and the Canon in the 010 setting, they are very, very similar, with the Canon having just that extra amount of energy there that just makes things a little bit more exciting. In terms of the bass and the mid bass and how that all is presented, they are identical graph wise, and when you listen to it, it's the same thing. I just feel that the Canon, because it's got that extra energy, just sounds more fulfilling, more I don't know, it just sounds better. It's not a dramatic difference, but it just sounds better to my ears. This is the Moondrop. Let me just change the color here of the Moondrop. And this is the one that perhaps has a curve that, although bass wise, again, it seems very similar. No, there's no comparison between the bass of the Canon and the bass of the Moondrop. And up top here, it's not that they are similar. They are. It's about the same thing. I mean, the Moondrop does peak a little bit later at 3, as opposed to just over 2 for the Canon. But I don't think that's an issue, because if you look at the Manga T2, it peaks even earlier, you know, and then just maintains itself nice and flat. So none of them are really bad. It's just different flavors of presenting the upper mids and presents. And finally, the Mega 5P. Let me just take away the. I'm actually going to take away. There. That's the Mega 5P in green with the Manga T2. And as you can see, they are identical almost in terms of their curves. It's actually quite uncanny. And it was when I saw this that I knew straight away that the Mega 5P was going to be a good player. Let's put it that way, and it is. And honestly, you only notice that it just has less high frequency, less openness. Although graphically, it doesn't seem like it. You know, you look at it graphically, and you would say that they are probably going to have the same amount of treble, and the Manga has got more treble. It's got more clearness up top. And that's basically the Manga T2, the High Senior Mega 5P, and the Canon. As you can see, they're all very similar, just slight differences in the bass, especially the mid bass area, but I mean minimal. And then the biggest difference is up top there, 2, 3, 4, 5K more or less, where again, although you see that extra amount of energy there of the Canon, and you might think it will sound way forward or something. No, it doesn't. It actually sounds very balanced out, and for me it's unquestionably the best hybrid under that $500 mark right now. I mean, I'm sure people will disagree with me. Then again, I'm not wanting to agree with me. This is my opinion. But it's absolutely unbelievable, and the versatility that it offers in terms of its switches, being able to adjust the sound profile so much, it's just a plus point, which makes it become the sensible choice. I mean, you know, not detracting any value from any of the other IEMs here, but it's the one that's the sensible choice. On the other hand, if you don't have that much money and you want something which is really good, the High Senior is definitely a go-to. I mean, that's the High Senior next to the Canon, and it's really a very good sounding IEM. Honestly, it's a really very good sounding IEM. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review of mine. I know it's been long, but I just wanted to make something which was worthwhile, and it made sense in all of its various areas that I wanted to mention. Okay, as always, like and subscribe. If there's any questions you want to ask or anything, please feel free. Take care. Bye-bye.